Hi, I'm Ashley and I was on Team 2. From the very beginning, the Sioux initiative was such an amazing experience. Professionally, I was able to meet and connect and build relationships with other staff members that I don't normally get to interact with on a typical work day. I was able to really gain insight on, my strengths and weaknesses and ability to work and function as a team, being in an environment and a culture that I've never experienced before. One of my favorite experiences being out on the Sioux trip was our first day of programming out in Cherry Creek. It was the end of program day and we had packed up the van and we were ready to leave, and all of a sudden I hear, "Hey you in the blue shirt, come give me a hug." And I look down and there's Wombly with his arms wide open, just grin ear to ear and just ready for a hug. So I run down the hill and just give him a huge hug and twirl him around, and he was just so excited and just couldn't wait, for the next day of programming. And it's experiences like those that really prove that there is a strong foundation already set in the communities on the reservation. And being in the grocery store or the gas station, kids and youth and adults will see you wearing a YMCA t-shirt, and you can feel the trust and the acceptance and the comfort that they feel, with the YMCA.
So I work at YUSA, and that's the first and only job I've had with the YMCA movement. So it was kind of easy to feel a little bit disconnected from what actually happens out there in the communities. So one of the major ways that it affected me was being around my awesome teammates who all work at YMCA branches and all get pretty fired up about what they do, and it's just great to see their passion and the great work that they do at home in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And being out on the reservation with those folks, with the volunteers and staff of the Sioux YMCA as well, it really made me convinced that even if any one of us isn't going to change the world individually, it's really, really important and really powerful for each of us to make a small change where we can. And the small change that I made was I taught a kid to make a paper crane, which is something I've known how to do for a long time. And this kid, Esteban, in Cherry Creek, sat down beside me and did every fold that I did, and then the look of pride that he had when he finished and he'd made this thing all on his own that he'd never done before, that really made the whole trip out there worth it for me. And it was really something that I took away, and a great experience that I'm really thankful that I had.
One child that always continues to stand out to me is little Juanita, and the fact that when we first met her, she was about 4 years old, or when I first met her at least, she was about 4 years old and very shy and timid around the whole group in general. As we continue to go out there and meet her and see her, she's really blossomed into a very fun, energetic young girl. And this year she was 7 years old, so we've watched her grow up quite a bit, and it's been just a phenomenal experience to see her grow.
Reasons I never will probably work for a big corporation, and it started to feel like I was working for a big corporation. Basically, I got to the point where being up in the cities really felt like it was, and this kind of reconnected me to the nonprofit piece of it, the actual doing good work and not doing it for money. You're doing it for actually progressive, making the world a better place. So it really reconnected me with that mission, basically, of why I started working at the Y. So
Sioux Y meant to me was working with kids initially when I went out there and playing games and doing a bunch of fun stuff. I came home and I realized that the Sioux YMCA meant so much more than that. It meant taking a part in a child's life and learning about them, and taking it into my program with kids I work with in school-age childcare, and remembering that even though my families don't show up and don't participate and don't maybe turn in papers as quickly as we all want, they are definitely still impacting their own children's life. And out on the reservation, it is foreseen that that doesn't happen a lot. You have a few gems out in certain communities that, as parents, are really active and helpful. And the kids, you can definitely tell the difference of what parent is there and what parent is not. So that was my biggest impact story.
This was my second year going to the Sioux YMCA and helping out with this initiative, and it was just awesome, and it definitely changes the way that I look at and the way I feel about the YMCA as my employer. There's just no place else where you could go and work in a fitness department and get sent to a reservation for 2.5 weeks to do something to carry out the business's mission. And it's so awesome to see that the YMCA, like everybody else, has a great mission, but we're serious about executing that mission and being successful with it. And so it definitely has reshaped the way that I look at our organization and the way that we go about carrying out what it is that we say we do.
We drove in and they were all standing and they were just waiting for us, and it was really cool to see that they were ready to do the scavenger hunt. You know, we put the time and the date and slow time and fast time on the flyer we put on the door, and they were ready to play. And there were a couple of kids that loved Four Corners and Swiftbird, and they'd always ask to play. And there were a few kids that memorized what values went with what color, and that was really cool.
So I feel that attending the Sioux Y, or being a part of the initiative, affected me in many ways. One being that I got to see a part of the country that I probably wouldn't have gone to otherwise. I got a great chance to work with children and adults and really get to see what life on the reservation is like. And I got a chance to do programming, which I don't think I would have had that opportunity to do at YUSA. So it kind of gave me a broader view of what goes on at local Ys and also what goes on in communities that a lot of people don't get to hear about. So for me, it was an amazing experience.
Hey, this is Justin
And Rachel
Costanza from Montgomery, Alabama.
Hey Nate, we miss you first of all down here in Montgomery, and we just want to tell you all a little bit about our experience that we had on the reservation and the connection that we made with the people there that we were able to bring back to implement into our daily lives here in Montgomery through our YMCA.
Yeah, we just had an excellent time working with the kids and working with Nate and all the folks involved with the initiative. But most importantly, what we've been able to bring away from it is an appreciation for the gifts that we have in life, not the physical things. Kids on the reservation may have vast vacancies in the material part of their life, but even an Xbox or even a new bike or whatever it may be is not going to bring that child what they need to have a healthy young relationship with Christ, with their family, and with the YMCA community. And so we've been able to grow that appreciation for those things, the caring, loving, nurturing relationships that we have with people like Rachel, for me, and all of the folks that we work with in the YMCA. This was also a staff development piece for us both, and it has been a great way for us to see the mission of the Y at work in our communities across the United States, and most importantly, for us, an appreciation of what we do every day. So thank you to all of the folks who put the initiative on. Thank you to all the folks here in Montgomery that made it possible for us to participate.
Thank you for allowing us the time to be a part of y'all's Y, and hopefully we'll get to continue through the initiative.
See y'all later.
Bye!